This is the Big O Show. This is the Big O Show.
Is ready to rock and roll. How you doing, my friend? You hanging in there?
I'm doing great. How are you, bud?
Very good, very good. First of all, your initial thoughts of the Mike McDaniel press conference.
As press conferences go in terms of introducing new head coaches, it was pretty much par for the course. His personality isn't. He's like very cerebral, like dry sense of humor, quick wit. Like love the guy's personality, but if you were looking for a rah guy who's going to get you excited in his introductory press conference, that I'm not sure that's his personality. It's not like Dan Campbell and what he did in Detroit. It's completely the opposite. No, but he said,
but you want this, right? You don't want that. That has no substance. That gets old like really fast. This is Pat Riley. This is Jimmy Johnson. This is the gift that keeps on giving. The cerebral guys, because what people don't know is, while Jimmy was a hard ass and all that stuff, he's a psychological genius, dude. He can play that game, and he knew how to play it, and so did Pat Riley. Pat Riley is the greatest coach I've ever covered in my life. He's the guy that knew how to handle his players, handle the media, send messages, use us. I mean, there was no master better than Pat Riley I've ever seen in my life. But I'd rather have the cerebral guy than the raw guy like a Mike Tice and a Dan Campbell and those kind of guys that Ray Rhodes. That shit gets old quickly, dude. There's no substance there.
well, but you have to show some substance for the guys to keep following you. I think there's room for both. If you ask me which one I prefer, yeah, give me the guy who's can come up with the great schemes and all that.
No, and he's going to fill your quote sheet, dude. He's going to fill your quote sheet. He is.
Oh, you
the rah guy doesn't fill your quote sheet. He doesn't give you enough substance to do the stories that you guys are going to do.
Dude, Dan Campbell is by far the best football coach in terms of providing quotes in all of my years of covering the NFL. And I've been at this for a long time. There's not a close second. So that's part of it.
Those are the Neanderthal quotes, bro. Those are
no, not even that, dude. Seriously, the problem because if we're talking quotes, dude, I love the hire from a professional standpoint. Will he become a great head coach? Nobody knows.
Yeah.
Well, correct. From my perspective, I absolutely adore the hire because he's really interesting. I love his personality.
You got a human being. You got a human being on the podium today.
Correct. And he's self-deprecating. He's very quick and all that with his sense of humor. He's the type of guy I could be buddies with him like very easily. We did a little meet and greet with him after the press conference was over, and man, if you don't like the guy, if you don't off your first impression of him, something's wrong with you. But having said that, again, as far as the overall message to everybody. Because I already saw some people complaining on social media that he sounded lame and all that. Well, you're not fine. He didn't win the press conference. Who cares? I mean, let him win games, and we'll worry about the rest later.
What did those people say about a Flo press conference? Have they seen a Flo press? I mean, yeah. if he didn't win then what did they say about Flo, bro? Because I mean that.
That's a great point. Because that was eons better than anything Flo ever produced.
Flo never even came his best press conference never came close to that. I mean, that's ridiculous. I mean, that's just I've seen a lot worse. Joe Philbin's press conferences were not good either.
Correct.
Man, I can come up with some real doozies. That one overall. Now, listen, again, it's all about substance. The rest of it doesn't really matter. But you know what I also liked? And you tell me if you noticed this also. He's a very wee guy, and
totally.
And it's about teaching. It's about surrounding yourself with good people. I love the line he used that a great play caller uses the people around him. So this is a guy I love this because he's going to bring in people that are going to help him and he's open to people helping him. He's open to hiring people who may be his equal or even better, which again I think was a problem with the prior person. Well, it almost felt like everybody had to be below him to be part of his staff.
Well, I think you're talking about somebody who is very secure in his skin. I think he's a guy who also, I mean, again, he makes fun of his of himself quite a bit, especially when he's talking about his football career when he played at Yale. But it's self-deprecating, so I think he's fully conscious of his strength, his weaknesses, what he's got, and he's very secure. And he also understands he's a very sharp guy, but he doesn't know everything, and that's going to help him big time when it comes to calling plays and everything, really.
You got to admit, as a writer, you got kind of sexually aroused when he admitted that his staff knew nothing about the zone run and that they all had to learn. And he showed you like a human part element, right? It wasn't that a great, because I'm sitting there going, most coaches would never tell you this kind of stuff. You know what I mean?
Correct.
And I think I love it because it shows the human side of it. It shows the job that he has in front of him at times that maybe fans don't realize. They think all these guys know everything and they all have to go learning. And that entire staff, which was a bunch of smart guys in that staff, and none of them knew this. You know what I mean? I would imagine, because I've done this job for so long and I know how you guys think. I thought of all of you guys right away. I go, these guys are going to love this guy because this is how he fills your book. This is how you're able to write an article today and then go back to your notes and write 2 more articles the next 2 days because there's just other stuff there and other directions you can go in. And I thought in an introductory press conference, he went in personally. He talked about Tua and he talks about coaching and all that. I thought that was huge, dude.
No, and then a couple of points I want to make here is that the one thing he did, and that not every coach does, and let's just say the last coach didn't do it. He gives you anecdotes, like the DRG3 anecdote was fabulous. You got coaches who talk in nothing but coach speak and generalities, and basically don't tell you anything. And beyond the fact that, to me, this was an example of showing, like, that they don't know everything and all that. It's a great story that people can relate to. And then in addition to that, that shows you that his scheme is adaptable. And to me, I was impressed with his idea of, like, okay, we're going to fit the scheme to the players we have. It's not like, okay, everybody adapt to our scheme, and if you don't fit our scheme, bye.
Yeah.
Okay.
And
Now,
go ahead.
I was going to say, so now that makes me take a step back and think maybe, well, this is where Mike Gesicki comes in, because if he's going to run what they did with the 49ers, pretty much like as a carbon copy, Mike Gesicki's not a fit. Well, if he looks at Mike Gesicki realistically and goes, well, we got a really tall tight end who can catch the ball, could be a one-on-one matchup nightmare, could be good in the red zone. Let's see how we can use him. Then there certainly is a place for a Mike Gesicki. So, he's very impressive as a dude.
And to piggyback on that story, and I've told the story before, some people may know it and some may not. RG3 was not wanted by Shanahan. So when he tells you that nobody knew it, that's because they didn't coach that. And Shanahan was so pissed that the owner was in love with RG3, he then went and took Kirk Cousins in the 4th round. It's the same thing that happened in Dallas. Jimmy didn't want Troy Aikman. Okay? It was what's the name of the older gentleman that's still with the NFL working?
Gil Brandt.
Gil Brandt stood on the table, fought with Jimmy, screaming at the top of his lungs, Jimmy, you have to take him. And then half the personnel department in the Dallas Cowboys were like, what are you doing, Jimmy? You got to take this guy. So Jimmy reluctantly went against his idea, and he let Gil Brandt make the call, and they took Troy Aikman. And then in the supplemental draft, he went and took Steve Walsh anyway. And then once he saw Aikman was good, he traded away Steve Walsh. So up until the supplemental draft and going into the regular season, he wasn't convinced Aikman was a guy. Aikman had to convince Jimmy. Same thing happened in Washington. They never wanted to draft RG3. They wanted to draft a regular quarterback like they normally do. And so then the owner falls in love with RG3 and wants RG3 and forces the trade and everything to get RG3. And then they're forced to learn how to run an offense for RG3 because of the owner. So that's kind of the other part of it. Like when you write that story, you're going to be able to have that element of the other story with Washington on what went on. You know what I mean?
And the boom part of that story is they made the playoffs in RG3's rookie year.
Yeah. Oh, he had a magical year,
So,
dude.
yeah, and then he basically obliterated his knee, and then they put him back
Shanahan obliterated his knee.
Yeah,
Shanahan said, yeah, he's not my pick. Leave him out there. Go ahead, Haloti. Go. Have a buffet on his ass. Go ahead. All right, now I got my guy, Kirk Cousins, in there. I mean, it's just, the mastermind was at work.
No, and the other part is, as it turned out, that was a rare L in terms of scouting for Jimmy, who was great at scouting, but that one could Steve Walsh, who was incredibly smart and pretty accurate.
He just wasn't blessed. The Lord didn't bless him enough.
Correct. He didn't have any arm. Just have any arm.
It's a Ken Dorsey thing. Both guys easily. Mm-hmm. Ken Dorsey, I give Teddy Bridgewater some credit because he kind of has the same limitations, but he's been able to get a little more out of it than those guys. But if the Lord would have given those three guys the upper echelon ability, all three are Hall of Famers in my eyes.
I agree.
That because that's the kind of players they were here. So all you need now is this, and then you're done. You got it. You know what I mean? It's a shame.
Right. No, the only difference is Bridgewater has a little bit of mobility, whereas Walsh and Dorsey slow as molasses.
Yeah, they had none.
I mean, yeah.
No, I'm with you there. I also did you love the part when they asked him about Tua, but then he kind of turned it into, hey, remember, it's about a team thing. Somebody's got to block, somebody's got to run. The defense better stop somebody from scoring. So he kind of, in a way, wanted to, because San Fran is like that. They don't necessarily, rely on Garoppolo to bail you out. They rely on Garoppolo in the running game and the defense and everything else. It's kind of a balance. Obviously, the defense is a star of that team, but that's kind of the same thing that they've got going on where he came from.
No question. What also struck me about that comment is how different it was than the phone call that the Dolphins pushed out on their social media platforms. The phone call to Tua, where it's almost like a cheerleading pep talk to Tua, and then he's asked about him, and it was almost the phone call that the Dolphins put on social media was almost like, let's build up the hype. And then his answer today in the press conference was like, okay, everybody slow your roll. It's not about the quarterback. It's about the entire team.
Well, so because when you're talking to Tua, you have to talk to him. And when you're talking to us, you're talking about them. So that's the difference.
Except that it's no longer about just the conversation with Tua once you put it out on social media. That's the message you're pushing is, again, we're jacked up. This guy's gonna work with Tua, and then they're gonna kick some butt. And now today was like, okay, it's all about the team. That struck me. But yeah, your point about Jimmy G, and the thing with Jimmy G, as I've mentioned before, is his regular season stats actually astonished me when I looked at them. I didn't realize they were that good. They're insane. I mean, his career passer rating in the regular season is over 98, which is
when you can block and you can run and you can defend.
Okay,
if you're a decent quarterback, you should have a good year. You should have a good year.
Okay, but again, the second point I was going to make, the issue there with Jimmy G, why the 49ers want to move away from him, which was very obvious by their trade to get Trey Lance, is that you get to the playoffs and Jimmy G's numbers completely collapse.
Yeah, but Bubba, it has nothing to do with ability. Okay? Emmanuel Sanders was open. The throw was there. You just overthrew it. It's what happens to Jimmy.
You just said it has nothing to do with ability. Of course it has.
Right, it has to do with some brain fart at the moment. By the way, the guy that's going to play on Sunday, that's the MO he's shaking too from Detroit. That's why he needed that moment a couple of weeks ago. So Matt Stafford needs this Super Bowl in a bad way because he's got that label also. Super talented, gifted arm, but has the brain fart all the time. And that's kind of that too. It's not a matter of ability, it's a matter of that moment, which again, San Francisco doesn't know if Trey Lance is going to be able to handle that moment. You know what I mean? Because that's what it's all about. That moment. Well, we saw Tannehill. Tannehill's not a lack of ability. It's a lack of that moment that you get scatterbrain. And that seems to happen to Jimmy that somehow or another, man, it's an errant throw, it's an interception, it's a fumble, it's something, it's an injury. Can't answer it.
That's part of playing a quarterback. Dude, that's part of playing quarterback. And I would argue with you that Stafford has had his moment. And that long pass to set up the game-winning field goal against Tampa Bay, that was a moment.
I know that's what I'm saying. I just said that he needed that moment a couple of weeks ago for his career. And
you're talking about the Super Bowl.
And he's got to complete it with this week. He has to complete it with this week because Jimmy Garoppolo has not lived down his moment of a couple of years ago with an open wide receiver in the end zone, which could have been the winner right there. They would have.
Except there's too much evidence by now. The dude has played, I think it's 5 or 6 playoff games, and it's 6 playoff games. He's had a passer rating higher than 90. 90's average. He's had a passer rating higher than 90 in one of those.
Oh, I'm not arguing with you on that.
Okay, the dude is obviously, that tells you he's a limited quarterback who will do well in the regular season. But again, and this is what makes an elite quarterback. Jimmy G's obviously not an elite quarterback. The 49ers have told you that.
Yes.
By the trade. So that's all I'm saying.
No, I'm with you. I'm with you. There's no doubt. I'm just saying it's not ability. It's that other thing that you need. And that's the part, that's the edge that's missing. With Tua, I think the criticism from a lot of people, including yourself probably, it's ability. You probably think maybe mentally he might be fine, but ability for some. Maybe some of you out there think it's mental and ability. I don't, because I watched them in Alabama. That's if you can do it at that level, you're good. You're good.
I see. Yeah, my problem is I have a hard time putting, and specifically, it's interesting that you mentioned that because we're just talking about Ken Dorsey and Steve Walsh, who were, let's be honest, surrounded by insane talent, which helped their college career and but did not help them overcome their physical limitations in the NFL.
Right.
That's my concern with Tua.
But they were this. They were
like borderline brainiacs, both of them.
No, I mean, but not just brains. What I mean when I'd say this is that in that moment, they weren't going to, it wasn't ever going to be big for them. So the only thing that only thing they couldn't overcome was the physical nature that you need at that moment. But it wasn't like what I see when you see with Garoppolo and Tannehill, that boom, the brain just and they just go scatter and they make the mistake, whatever it is. That wasn't those guys, in other words.
The decision making in crucial situations.
Right.
No, that's correct. That's fair. And the truth is, at the NFL level, we haven't necessarily seen Tua really in those types of situations, other than maybe if you want to look at the finale in 2020 against Buffalo, the Tennessee game to some degree.
Yeah.
And obviously those didn't work out well. So, dude, obviously, I have optimism, and there's also a lot of unknown, but I have optimism to me, and I like the fact that he's from that Washington 2013 coaching staff, which has produced Sean McVay, Matt LaFleur, and Kyle Shanahan. And you look at the track record of those guys as head coaches, that gives me a lot of optimism that this guy could be a really good hire.
Yeah, no, I'm with you there. And did you like the fact that they're keeping Crossman and you keeping most of the defensive staff? It looks like, and hopefully you'll add a Fangio, which would be like the icing on the cake for that defensive. I think that would really like round out that defensive staff, because Fangio would just tweak things just to make them better because he's a freaking defensive genius. But I love that. I love that they, while this is a coaching change, you still have an opportunity to keep 2/3 of your continuity overall, and you never had any continuity in the other third anyway. So you're not really disrupting anything in this coaching change. You have a chance to have an easier transition, is what I'm trying to say, because of the way it's going.
Yeah, I will tell you this. From where I sit, I'd very, very much. I'm going to be very happy if they hire Vic Fangio to run the
Ooh.
defense. And to me, there's one guy that's a must keep on the defensive staff, or close to a must keep, and that's Cheryl Alexander, who I think is a really good coach and is a star on the rise in the coaching ranks. He's interviewing for the Jacksonville defensive coordinator job. I think he's a keeper. The other guys, you're looking at guys. I mean, no offense to those guys, but they're like very young in their career as NFL assistants. So I don't necessarily see the necessity to keep them if it means bringing on Vic Fangio. As far as Danny Crossman is concerned, I'd say bring back Darren Rizzi. I know it's not going to happen, but I think Darren Rizzi is a better special teams coach.
All right, let's bring Westhoff out of retirement, bro. Let's do it. I mean, yeah, no, I'm with you there. I think you said that only because the special teams kind of took a little step back this year, right?
They took a big no, and I look at the Rick Gosselin special teams ranking every year, and I actually looked at him yesterday, and Danny Crossman in his 3 years at Dolphins were 23rd. I think they may have been 7th in 2020 when Jason Sanders had his ridiculous year, and in 2019 they were, I don't know, 17th or something. So it's nothing special. I have no issue with him being retained, just as I would have had no issue with him being replaced. I'll be honest with you.
Tell you, just it hurts to trade away a Pro Bowl returner, and I'm just saying.
Took you that long to get the Jakeem Grant.
Just saying, it hurts to trade away a Pro Bowl returner.
Off of one punt return is how we made the Pro Bowl.
Hey, the only punt return made for a touchdown in the NFL, bro. That's
You're
pretty
right.
special. That's like a needle in the haystack. He's the needle.
He's the needle.
We're all the haystack. I mean, that's not too bad. Chris Greer's dad, actually, I did not know that nugget, that he worked for Chris Greer's dad. That they worked together. I had no idea that Chris had a little extra insight on the guy.
No, and I didn't make the connection because I knew his father, Bobby Greer, by the way, who worked a long time for the Patriots, also worked for the Texans, which is when McDaniel spent 2 or 3 years with the Texans. So,
and he's an advisor now for the Dolphins, correct? Isn't he an advisor?
Bobby Greer? No, not that I know.
Isn't he? I thought they brought him in as an advisor. Like,
I'll double check, but then that'd be news to me.
I think it's like not mentioned, but it's like I think it's happening or something. I don't know. I think it was this year that they had him as a consultant. I don't know. Find out. But I think he is. I'm not sure. But
I'll look into it.
Yeah. But yeah, so I didn't know that. So that was actually, he had a little extra insight on that.
Yep.
Well, by the way, can we do a petition for Ross to just announce and then walk away? Just don't say anything. Just announce and walk away.
I would have no problem with that.
Yeah, right? I mean, seriously.
I have no problem with that.
But you weren't surprised, right? That you guys did not get any cracks at Greer and Ross, right?
No, I had a fellow writer ask me if it bothered me, and I said I was just so insanely not surprised that no, it didn't bother me because I never expected it for half a second. And well, here's the thing: is right away they tell you their comments about Mike McDaniel, and so that's that, and they're not addressing the Brian Flores lawsuit. So
of course not. Yeah.
So I don't know what. I mean, I guess they could have been asked more in detail about the coaching search and everything like that, which is interesting when Chris Greer mentions a multitude of candidates from both the pro and college ranks, adding that everybody was very complimentary about the talent on the roster. Well, again, what was leaked out was only 7 candidates, and Chris Greer made it sound it was like a lot more than that. So. That could have been something you could have been pressed on.
Well, they've kept some stuff away from all of us, so maybe they did do some stuff behind the scenes that we have no idea. And again, I think if you're a GM, you want to do that because you want to stash some of those interviews for future references down the line. So you might be interviewing a bunch of guys that aren't ready to be GMs now, or head coaches now, but down the line, you think they could be those kind of guys. You know what I'm saying? So
except
maybe that was going on.
except in 2016 and 2019, the Dolphins were very transparent. They announced every completed interview for the head coaching position, and they went full radio silence on this one.
Different people running the show now, bro.
It wasn't in 2019. It was the same people running the show.
No, I know, but maybe again, lessons learned. Okay, no, you know what? This time I don't want to do it this way. We're going to do it this way now. So maybe that's what it is. Maybe it changed that way. I don't know. I don't know. What anything else stood out from this presser you want to share with us before we let you go?
Yeah, I'm trying to think. Well, I mean, the main ones, yeah, calling plays.
Oh, I knew he was going to call plays. I said that yesterday. Was it yesterday, the day before? I said this is a guy that's going to take this job, and he wants to call plays because he wants to outwit that person on the other side. He loves the pleasure of doing that kind of stuff.
That makes perfect sense. That makes perfect sense. I mean, that's because if you're going to look at the number one quality that everybody will tell you about Mike McDaniel is he's smart. Okay, yeah. Well, that's a perfect place to show your wits and your intelligence. By all means, drop some crazy plays and some crazy schemes. I like it. I have no issue with that. But outside of,
by the way, he was doing it in San Francisco anyways. We had Jennifer Lee Chan on with us 2 days ago, and she explained it that he calls all the plays to Shanahan, and Shanahan relays them to the QB. All right. Now, could Shanahan change a play or two? Of course. But you think Shanahan's changing a ton of plays during the game? No, dude. If he has Mike McDaniel calling all the plays, it's because he trusts him. So he must only tweak it very little. There's no Charlie Fry altering all your plays. Okay. You know? So actually, Shanahan really relied on him a lot in that sense. Yeah. Yeah.
And not only that, I mean, you know that because Kyle Shanahan took him from Houston to Cleveland to Washington to Atlanta to San Francisco. So obviously he loves the guy. And then McDaniel was making the point that basically Shanahan allowed him to basically like observe him the entire time, like in his duties as a head coach. Like he was almost like an assistant head coach without the title. And you mentioned that's one of the things that prepared him for this job, even though he's never done it.
Yeah, I love the fact that he's been around Kubiak, Kyle, and Mike Shanahan. He's been, that's a lot of knowledge there that he's been able to steal and then develop on his own. So I just, listen, man, we need the offense fixed, and maybe they'll get it done here, man. All right. Make sure you subscribe there at Sports Illustrated and bookmark the Dolphins page there so you can get my man Alain Poupart. And by the way, you said something about where I sit. No, you're standing. By the way, last time I checked, you're not sitting. So just want to correct you there. All right.
Wow, you got me. I'm so used to doing it from my house at my computer. Now I'm literally in the parking lot of the Baptist Health Training Complex.
And you're not sporting the Spose hat either. What's the deal with that, bro? Why you do that? You don't take the Spose hat into a facility because it's not professional. Is that the deal?
For a press conference, with a bunch of people around me in suits and ties, which is a step too far for me. I kind of quote unquote dressed up, and that included removing the Expos hat. But next time we speak, rest assured it'll be on my head.
No, I'm sure, but I got to tell you something. You and I know that if you wear that Expos hat to the press conference, all you're going to get is love from people, because that's all that ever happens when someone wears an Expos hat. Oh, dude, Expos, cool, love it. Oh, that's awesome. Everybody loves the Expos. We eliminated them and we love them. It's the weirdest thing in the world.
Doesn't make sense. Maybe there's a guilt issue there, right?
Yeah, no, there's no. It's like the Sonics. Same thing.
I agree.
We go and name a burger chain after them because we miss them so much. I mean, it's just one of those deals.
The Quebec Nordiques is another one.
There you go. And not at that level, but I get what you're saying. I get what you're saying. All right, follow him on Twitter at Poupart NFL and catch his work there at Sports Illustrated. Alain, thank you as always, my brother. Appreciate you.
You got it. Have a good weekend, Big O.
You got it. You too, buddy. There you go. Alain Poupart and our Sports Grill Miami Dolphins report.
This is the Big O Show. This This is the Big O Show.